Across the Star Wars galaxy, the average citizen, whether eking out a living under Tatooine's twin suns or hustling through the endless towers of Coruscant, typically possessed a midichlorian count of under 2,500 per cell. These microscopic, intelligent life forms dwell within the cells of all living beings, acting as the bridge through which the Force communicates its will. In essence, the more midichlorians one has, the deeper their connection to the Force. A high count can grant awareness of and sensitivity to the Force, allowing someone to harness its power. A low count, however, leaves a person bound to the ordinary world, limited to their simple senses like eyesight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell, without any trace of Force intuition. Most everyday people fall into this lower range. They can't sense the Force, nor can they display any of its subtle traits. They certainly had no flashes of foresight, danger sense, visions, or superhuman reflexes. They were basically just your average Joe trying to carve their way through the galaxy. Yet that doesn't make them insignificant. Many of the galaxy's most capable and resourceful individuals never had a meaningful connection to the Force. Luthen Rael, for example, the orchestrator of the entire Rebel Alliance, didn't seem to have any sort of heightened senses or precognition. This, however, didn't stop him from building several Rebel networks all over the galaxy, coordinating these and funding their attacks until the Alliance grew strong enough to rival the Empire. Owen Lars, Luke Skywalker's uncle, was a simple moisture farmer with no Force sensitivity to speak of. Lando Calrissian likewise built his reputation through charm, wit, and maybe a bit of luck, but certainly not due to Force abilities. Even the legendary bounty hunters, Jango and Boba Fett, earned their fame through sheer skill in the bounty hunting craft. I'd also argue that Din Djarin likely is in this category. This group serves as proof that the Force isn't a requirement for greatness. While they may not deflect blaster fire blindfolded or feel the currents of destiny, these individuals still manage to carve their way through the galaxy. The second level consisted of individuals with a midichlorian count in the range of roughly 5,000 to 6,000 per cell. These people had a faint, often unnoticed connection to the Force. While they typically went through life unaware of it, their connection to the Force did show in subtle ways such as exceptional reflexes, incredible instincts, or impeccable timing. A prime example of this group is Han Solo. Despite his early disbelief in the Force, Han's near-supernatural piloting skills suggest otherwise. His legendary completion of the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs, which mind you was an act considered impossible, can reasonably be attributed to an unconscious Force-guided intuition. I think Cassian Andor must have also been part of this group despite being blissfully unaware of it. The tons of different feats he accomplished by culminating in him acquiring the Death Star plans must have had some guidance from the Force. Padme Amidala might also fall into this category. Her remarkable foresight and seemingly perfect instincts in political and personal matters could hint at a minor attunement to the Force. Similarly, Sabine Wren fits the mold of someone with mild sensitivity. In Ahsoka, she trains as Ahsoka Tano's Padawan despite being noted for her very low aptitude, one low enough that the Jedi Order would have likely rejected her. Though for argument's sake, let's say she comes in at around the 7,000 mark, so between level 2 and 3. I'd also argue that Hera Syndulla and Wedge Antilles, just like Han Solo, could easily fit into this category as they were incredible pilots that couldn't be beat in the air and had some incredible reflexes to dodge laser fire. Also, the red-skinned Sith species also displayed a similar level of natural Force sensitivity. Their average citizens likely possess midichlorian counts around the 5,000 mark. However, lacking structured Force training, they couldn't access their full potential until the arrival of the Dark Jedi. The third level includes those with a midichlorian count between roughly 8 and 9,000 per cell, marking the lower boundary of true Force sensitivity. Individuals in this range stood just high enough to attract the attention of the Jedi Order during the days of the Galactic Republic. Routine medical screenings across the Republic monitored blood samples, and anyone with readings 3 to 4 times above the galactic average was flagged and referred to the Jedi Temple for evaluation. Candidates who met this threshold were typically accepted as Jedi initiates, beginning their training in hopes of one day becoming Padawans. However, students at this level of potential often struggled to progress through the rigorous Jedi trials. Many failed to advance beyond the initiate stage, instead finding purpose in the Jedi Service Corps, where they could still serve the Order in scholarly, agricultural, or medical roles. This level shows well that while an individual could be super dedicated and disciplined to compensate for any potential natural limits, it still placed a ceiling on their true force potential. It's highly unlikely that someone from this level will ever become one of the all-time great Jedi. A notable example of someone from this lower end of the Jedi spectrum is Jocasta Nu, the chief librarian of the Jedi Archives. Similarly, many of the Inquisitors, former Jedi who fell to the dark side, likely fell within this range. They possessed enough Force power to be formidable opponents, but lacked the refinement seen in true Jedi Knights or Sith Lords. The fifth brother and seventh sister, for instance, were repeatedly shown to struggle with basic Force abilities, though it's hard to say whether this was due to their limited potential or their likely incomplete training. Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One is definitely also in this category, although probably on the lower end, coming in at around 7,500 to 8,000 max. He was clearly aware of the Force, and it helped him navigate despite his blindness, but he couldn't do any great Force feats. The Force Healer in Andor would also fit here nicely. The fourth level is where we get into the level most true Jedi fall into. All the ones we likely know from the Clone Wars can be found here. Individuals in this range typically possessed midichlorian counts between 12 and 13,000 per cell, granting them a strong, unmistakable connection to the Force. Their affinity was great enough not only to pass the rigorous Jedi trials, but to excel within the Order. Jedi operating at this level often rose to the rank of Knight, and with years of experience and wisdom, many went on to become Masters or even earn a seat on the Jedi High Council. During the Republic's final years, these Jedi formed the backbone of the Order. They commanded clone legions across countless battlefronts, serving as generals in the Grand Army of the Republic. While individuals on this level were not exceedingly rare within the Jedi ranks, their numbers were still small compared to the trillions of beings in the wider galaxy. A great representative of this tier is Jedi Master Plo Koon, who was known for his calm nature and also rather unique ability to wield electric judgment, a light side version of Force lightning. Other High Council members, such as Ki-Adi-Mundi, Kit Fisto, and Qui-Gon Jinn, are also believed to have fallen within this same range. Outside the Council, figures like the Grand Inquisitor and Darth Maul likely possessed similar levels of Force potential. Perhaps the most iconic representative of this group, however, is Obi-Wan Kenobi. With an estimated midichlorian count of about 13,000, Obi-Wan stood just above the threshold for this tier. Not a prodigy by any means, yet still one of the greatest Jedi there's ever been. Despite being far less naturally gifted than Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan still managed to beat his former apprentice on Mustafar, proving that while Anakin had far more potential in the Force than Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan's discipline and hard work still managed to triumph over the far superior Anakin. The fifth level represents an echelon reached by only some of the most exceptional beings in the galaxy. Individuals within this range possess midichlorian counts between 14 and 16,000 per cell, placing them far beyond even the most capable Jedi Masters. Their connection to the Force was almost effortless, and they could tap into some of the strongest Force abilities with ease. According to Darth Tenebris, the Sith Master of Darth Plagueis, the natural upper limit for most Force-sensitive life forms was around 15,000 midichlorians per cell. Anything exceeding that threshold, he believed, verged into the realm of the unnatural, a domain reserved for anomalies of the Force itself. Jedi operating at this level were usually prodigies, mastering abilities that others could spend entire lifetimes chasing. Count Dooku serves as one of the best-known examples. With an estimated count near 14,000, he was recognized as one of the greatest duelists of his generation. After his fall to the dark side, Dooku was able to adapt very quickly and learn most dark side abilities, such as Force Lightning, with little effort. Another great example for this level is Mace Windu, whose count reportedly approached 16,000. Windu even developed Vaapad, a lightsaber form that channels the opponent's darkness through to strengthen the wielder of Vaapad. But it was rather dangerous, as using it could easily make someone succumb to the dark side. Ahsoka Tano can also be argued to be in this tier, as she's been reincarnated by the daughter's abilities, and we see her easily beating Inquisitors without a weapon and also being reincarnated yet again in the Ahsoka series. Bastila Shan and her battle meditation I'd also categorize in this unique fifth tier, as she was strong enough to warrant Darth Malak to literally destroy a planet just to try and get rid of her. The sixth level is the highest any mortal being could possibly reach. Those who reach this point wield power that bends the natural order itself. performing feats so extraordinary that it defies any logic. With midichlorian counts exceeding 20,000 per cell, such individuals are vanishingly rare. Yet, whenever one has appeared, the very course of galactic history has shifted around them. Grandmaster Yoda himself belonged to this unique one-of-a-kind level, with his count rumored to be around 20,000, and being one of the wisest and greatest Jedi Masters in history, with a wealth of knowledge that was second to none. On the opposite end of that balance stands Darth Sidious, whose own count is roughly 20,000, which made him one of the most powerful dark side wielders in existence. Unlike the Jedi, Sidious embraced his potential in full effect, using it to even manipulate his own death and transfer his essence into clone bodies. Starkiller, who is Darth Vader's apprentice, also fit into this category as his force potential was said to rival that of Sidious. Darth Revan and Sith Emperor Vitiate from the Old Republic era also fit within this near-mythical range. Both reshaped the galaxy multiple times through their actions, with Revan mastering the Force in ways that were second to none, and Vitiate being close to a godlike being due to his ritual that granted him immortality. Luke Skywalker, though his precise midichlorian count was never documented, clearly belongs to this level. In the expanded universe, Grandmaster Luke achieved a level of understanding and power that eclipsed even Yoda's. He mastered virtually every known Force ability and even went toe-to-toe with Abeloth, a being that was outside our normal comprehension of the Force. Anakin Skywalker is also technically part of this level, with an astonishing midichlorian count of 27,000. He's the highest ever recorded being with this count, and could even be in a level of his own. After his death, though, he does in fact pass over into our final level. At the 7th and final level, we leave behind the realm of mortals entirely and step into the domain of cosmic entities, beings who do not merely wield the Force, but are expressions of it. Their existence transcends physical form, time, and mortality itself. Those who dwell in this tier stand outside the natural order, shaping and embodying the Force on a scale that defies comprehension. While previous tiers measured the connection to the Force through midichlorian counts, such measures become meaningless here. These beings are not connected to the Force, they're manifestations of it. They exist where the light and dark, life and death, creation and destruction all merge into one. Foremost among these are the Mortis gods, the Father, the Son, and the Daughter. Dwelling within the mysterious realm of Mortis, they represent the living balance of the Force itself. The Father embodying equilibrium, the Daughter representing the light, and the Son channeling the dark. All of them, as well as Mortis itself, don't obey the same laws of reality as the rest we know of. Abeloth, being the Mother, is certainly also in this 7th level, and on a power level that is well above any Jedi or Sith. The Force Priestesses who guide Yoda are also part of this level. They serve as representations of the bridge between the living Force, which is experienced by all living beings, and the cosmic Force, which governs the grand design and destiny of the universe. They reside in the wellspring of life, a realm believed to be the birthplace of the midichlorians, and the nexus where the living and cosmic Force converge in perfect harmony. Finally, I'd like to argue that Anakin Skywalker is certainly also on this level after he passed away in Return of the Jedi. Being born from the Force itself and having fulfilled the Chosen One prophecy, we see him as the guardian of the world between worlds, being able to grant Ahsoka Force visions and literally bend reality itself and halting time for her. Certainly all feats that would classify nicely for this category. And that's it for this video. Like and subscribe.